The narrative arc of Hide-Seek is fairly easy and comprehensible to understand. It begins in a position of repression and oppression as the very concept of the homosexual was defined, artists working against that restriction. And it moves forward through the century to 1969 with the emergence after the Stonewall riot of the modern gay liberation movement. So we have art under wartime, if you will, and then art under liberation. The tragic disruption of this narrative, and it's a small disruption given the overall pandemic that occurred, is of course AIDS. And we were faced with a curatorial decision of how we would handle that. We could have stopped in 1969 and done art before liberation. We could have stopped in 1983 and done art before AIDS. And then we just decided, no, that we weren't going to do this, that it was part of the experience, and we would take it all the way through to the century, hoping to find an optimistic ending as we move ourselves through a period of the pandemic and the plague years. But we did have to account for the art that was produced under AIDS, and in many ways, the art deepens and becomes more moving and more powerful. Nowhere more so than in this unfinished painting by Keith Haring. Haring, of course, a graffiti artist whose cartoon-like figures popped up in the subways of Manhattan and was taken up and became an overnight success. And this was his last painting, unfinished painting with his little man woven into the tapestry, woven into the fabric of the carpet, a painting that couldn't be completed, exemplifying a state of a society which was unable to reach its full potential precisely because it was blindsided by this horrible disease. The great Anglo-American poet Thom Gunn said, "I always thought the term gay community was bullshit until it started to disappear." That notion, again, from Anthony Giacolia, of finding a home in the world destroyed by the terrible progress of this disease. And it's impossible to look at Keith Haring's painting without thinking of the AIDS quilt, without thinking of this great project of memorialization which exemplifies the lives of the famous and the not so famous, the common people, the many victims, and the individual quilts that were created so tragically upon their loss.